Team Ozzy or Team Lono? I guess it depends on if I'm in traffic or not, because if I'm in traffic and Crazy Train comes on, oh, there's no stopping me. I mean, Crazy Train is my car song, is my driving song. It probably shouldn't be. And oftentimes I get so into that song that I like forget to pay attention to the brake lights in front of me. But you know. OG Sumo Vibe. That's right. Lono doesn't have free beer to steal at his concert. That is true. That is true. Although I guess if it's free beer, it's not to be stolen. And yeah, Ozzy Osbourne. Well, and it wasn't Ozzy who had the beer. It was the venue that had the beer. And it was actually like what the vendor at the venue that didn't lock their stuff up. So, I mean, why wouldn't I share the bounty with everybody who was there? I mean, okay, so for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I can't remember where I spoke of it, if it was on OG's stream or not, but basically after an Ozzy Osbourne show once, we were walking by a beer vendor to leave the stadium. The show was over. Everyone was leaving. And the beer vendor, their cart and the refrigerator they were next to, the cart only had the tap unscrewed. And I thought to myself, well, just because the tap is unscrewed doesn't mean that the keg's unconnected. So I walked up and I went to see if the keg was still connected. And it was. And so I filled up a bunch of people's cups as they were leaving. And then I noticed, hey, that refrigerator that's full of beer, it's not locked up either. So then I started giving all the beers that were in the fridge to random people who were leaving as well. Now, all of the yellow-coated security guards, they were like 5 feet away from me watching me do it the whole time, but they didn't work for that vendor. They worked for security for the venue. So it wasn't their beer to guard, so they didn't care. And so I was there for I don't know how long, just giving out free beers, because somebody wasn't smart enough to put the lock on their beer case at an Ozzy Osbourne show. Now, I'll be the first to admit I was not sober when I was doing this, but you know, I was the belle of the ball, so to speak. People loved me. Yes, exactly, Andre. So as you told them to have a safe trip home, I gave people beers. That's exactly what happened. Yes, I was like the beer Robin Hood, 100%. In fact, that particular show, I had a great time. Not just because of stealing the beers, but during the show, it was the front section of the venue was reserved seating closest to the stage. Now, once the show was starting, they weren't in their seats, so it was a little bit like rowdy. But then there was a halfway down the floor, there was a partition, and then behind that, it was general admission. And general admission is where I was. General admission now, and by this time, I'm an old, jaded concert goer with decades of concert experience. I know how to read the crowd. I know how to watch the security. I know how to do things. Well, there were these teenage boys, and when I say teenage, I'm really being generous, like 12, 13 years old, maybe. This was clearly like one of their first rock show experiences, right? And so we're all three of us, well, more than three of us, but we're all still in general admission. So, and we're up against the barrier where the guards are to check your tickets to make sure you have the proper ticket to go further in closer to the stage, because you needed the proper paperwork, basically. Well, I didn't have it, the kids didn't have it, whatever. Well, something happened, some kerfuffle happened that took the security guard's attention away from that gate for just a split second. And I took one of them kids and I shoved him in and I said, now go. And he knew what he knew, because I could tell I could tell by looking at him, they were trying to figure out how to get up there trying to get up there. And so Kerfuffle and one of them, I just, go. So he went. So then the second one's there, like, oh, where'd my buddy go? Blah, blah, blah. And I was, it's like, don't worry, kid, don't worry. Well, something else happened. And so I just, next opportunity, boom, now it's your turn. And he just, booked it in. And yeah, man, I didn't see those kids, they went up front. And I was so proud of myself, and I was so proud of them, teaching them how to just break the rules at a rock show. It was a good night, I gotta tell ya.